Greetings, this is Nathan from Station X. Wikileaks has released documents claiming that the CIA has hacking tools that can target and break into common devices such as smartphones, smart TVs, and routers. For most people who keep up to date on the clandestine work of the three-letter agencies and four-letter agencies when you include the GCHQ, the content of these leaks will come as no surprise. These leaks only prove to confirm what many have already suspected for a long time. These CIA hacking tools that have been exposed can be described as malware, Trojans, viruses, zero-day vulnerabilities, and weaponized exploits, all used by the CIA to target and gain access to common operating systems like iOS, Android, which you get on your smartphones, and then desktop operating systems like Windows, macOS, and Linux, plus your smart TVs, turning those into listening devices. It has to be said, though, that none of these documents can be verified yet, but they do make sense. These are exactly the sort of tools and techniques that I would expect to see in many of the top intelligence agencies around the world. So let's go through some of the highlights that we're aware of so far. According to the leaks, vulnerable smartphones such as iOS and Android that are targeted by the CIA can be completely compromised and taken over, providing the CIA with things like GPS location of that phone, access to text messages and audio communication, and can be manipulated to switch on the camera and the microphone. We know from the leaks that the CIA can bypass the encryption of the Signal protocol used by the Signal voice messaging app and also by the popular WhatsApp. But the key here, the key word is they can bypass the encryption. The Signal protocol used by these apps is solid. And it's because it is solid that the CIA, as would be expected, are attacking the operating systems of the phones instead, which means they can then access anything that is on the phone as if they were a user of the phone. Once on the phone with these tools, essentially they have access to record all activity on the phone. But of course, to reiterate, this is not a weakness in the encryption or the authentication of Signal itself or the Signal protocol, but of the operating systems themselves. Again, this is no surprise. The CIA will attack the softest targets like anybody does, like any attacker does. That's to achieve their goals in the easiest way possible. The encryption is solid of the Signal protocol, so they are attacking the operating instead, which is a weaker target. The CIA program codenamed Weeping Angel can target and take control over smart TVs, transforming them into covert microphones. The TVs can be placed in a fake off mode so that the owner falsely believes that the TV is off, but actually it is a covert microphone. This comes again as no surprise. We know already that intelligence agencies' stated strategic aim is to target Internet of Things IoT devices like TVs and like your toaster. John Clapper, who was the US Director of National Intelligence, in a testimony submitted to the US Senate as part of an assessment of threats facing the United States, stated the following: "In the future, intelligence services might use the Internet of Things for identification, surveillance, monitoring, location tracking, and targeting for recruitment or to gain access to networks or user credentials." The lie in that statement was saying that this is in the future. The truth is actually this attacking of IoT devices and embedded devices, this is happening now, of course. These leaks just provide more evidence of that. Every security expert, including myself, is concerned about IoT devices. There are so many people buying cheap, insecure devices, there will ultimately be a price to pay, and this is one of the prices that we pay. When I go into my local electronics store, the first thing that faces me is internet-enabled light bulbs. Millions of people are buying these IoT devices, like these light bulbs, every day with little to no thought for the security of these devices. And as the penetration of IoT devices into the industry and homes grows, so will the threats posed to our security and privacy by uncontrolled deployment and use of these types of CIA and other three-letter agency hacking tools, and in fact, just general cyber criminals wanting to attack these IoT devices. The CIA and other three-letter agencies have the power to switch on many tiny windows looking into our lives through these hacked IoT devices, including things like your television, and in the future, probably your toaster. And this problem is only going to get exponentially worse the more IoT that we have, and plus, in combination, the improvement of artificial intelligence, which will be able to process all of this spying data that is being scooped up. It's also been alleged that the CIA are hoarding zero-day vulnerabilities in order to use them and not revealing them to the industry and to the community so these problems can be fixed. This goes against what was agreed with Obama. According to Wikileaks, the CIA has lost control of the majority of these attack tools, which have been leaked and circulated to former government hackers. Wikileaks claims to have been passed on parts of these tools, which isn't great news at all because it means these tools will eventually get out to everybody, including teenage hackers through to cyber criminals and other nation states. Wikileaks has stated that this is the beginning of a series of leaks, so there is more to come, and I'll provide more details as they reveal more information. If you were to compare this Vault 5 CIA leak to the original Edward Snowden leaks, the Snowden leaks revealed NSA spying programs that were less targeted, that were more related to mass surveillance and dragnets of data over everyone's data, covering attacking servers and infrastructure, routers, and the backbone of the internet. That was the Snowden leaks, whereas these latest CIA Vault 7 leaks reveal programs that are targeted, specific to devices, targeted attacks against these specific devices and phones and TVs and against people, so very targeted, and about bypassing the encryption technology, like in the example of Signal and other messaging tools. They are bypassing the transport encryption by attacking the targets themselves. The only real limitations on these tools are the United States' own surveillance laws, plus the CIA's mandate is limited to spy on people only outside the United States. But we know from history that intelligence agencies break and bend their own rules. So what of a limitation that is, well, that's for you to decide. So what can we do to mitigate and prevent these types of tools, both in terms of the CIA and intelligence agencies that may be wanting to spy on us and attack at us, and also when these tools eventually get deployed by cyber criminals when they get their hands on them? First of all, we need to hope that the companies respond to any of these leaks and identify any patches that need to be patched to these zero-day vulnerabilities and other vulnerabilities. These patches are released, and then you need to make sure that you're installing them and using them. But the reality is that if you are targeted by a serious intelligence agency or a serious hacker who's an advanced persistent threat with some serious tools, then you're in pretty big trouble. Your OPSEC or operational security needs to be better than that of the agency or the expert hacker that is attempting to hack you. If you want to learn more about mitigating against mass surveillance like this and targeted attacks and mitigating against cyber criminals, then what I recommend you do is you have a look at the complete cybersecurity course, which is an excellent on-demand video training course which will teach you everything you need to know in terms of this whole mass surveillance and targeted surveillance, the whole infrastructure that the three-letter agencies have, and how to protect against that and cyber criminals. So you can check that out on the complete cybersecurity course, which there's a link to here. So that's me signing off. This is Nathan House from Station X.